Hi, good afternoon to all my dear and lovely students. Today I am again with a new topic, that is the aristocracy and the new middle classes. The topic is related with the history and it is for the students of standard 10. So see, the aristocracy and the new middle classes. See, before delving into the depth of the concept or the topic, we will first of all like to define the meaning of aristocracy. Aristocracy basically means the rule by the rich. So it does not mean that there will be no monarchs. Of course there will be monarchs, but the monarchs will act under the influence of the rich people of the society or of the state. The monarchs will be influenced by the richer sections of the society to make the policies for the whole state. So because the financial needs of the state will be fulfilled by the richer sections of the society. So rule by the rich is called aristocracy. So see, what would be the incidents that would lead for the rise of new middle class? Because here under this topic, the aristocracy that has been talked about is basically about landed aristocracy. The rich people are rich not by doing business, okay, they are rich because they have lands, they have large tracts of land. That is why they were rich in those days. Here under this topic we will be discussing about the 17th and 18th century Europe, and as we all know that it was the mid of the 18th century when industrialization in Europe started. Okay, so after the industrialization process there will be rise of new middle classes, and gradually the aristocratic society would start disappearing. Okay, so before delving into the depth of this topic, I would like to revise whatever we have discussed in our last topic. Okay, so in my previous lecture I have already discussed that the concept of nation state was not created, and of course there were rulers and the territories, and we have also discussed that Europe was divided into numerous small principalities that was ruled under autonomous monarchs, and that state could be called as territorial state. Territorial state, because the territories was not formed on the basis of certain parameters. A territory which was under the rule of a certain ruler was constituted of the citizens that were having different dialects, different customs, as well as different traditions. They were also of different races. So a common unity or a common sense of unity could not be developed into their minds in those days. Okay, so that state could be called as territorial state because they owed allegiance only for their rulers. The common thing which banded them together or united them together was the common allegiance towards their ruler. Okay, so the concept of nation state began to be developed by adopting national flag. Common standard language were promoted like French as it was spoken in the Paris, and other dialects were started discouraging. A common national currency was chosen, hymns were created, martyrs were also commemorated, so as to develop a common sense of identity, that they are united for a common cause, and the cause of their unity was revolution against the tyranny or the monarchs, to get basic rights or the natural rights that a human being should possess by birth. So before executing a revolution, it was necessary that people gets united. So the freedom fighters began to think about the processes or the ideas and the tools that would make people unite together to fight against the monarchs, or we can say that against the existing political situation. Okay, so under this topic we have already discussed that how the territories or the kingdoms, for example, we have discussed about the Habsburg Empire or dynasty, Habsburg dynasty, and we have discussed that this dynasty was ruled over Austria-Hungary, and how these regions were broken down into three important regions like Alpine, Hungary, and Galicia, and how again subdivision was made on the basis of the languages that were spoken by the natives. So a common sense of unity cannot be built by them due to their diverse dialects that were spoken by them. They felt aloof from each other. Often a certain section of the society felt separated from other sections of the society. So a unity, so the concept of unity cannot be built by them. Okay, so these things we have already discussed, and now we will discuss about aristocracy and the new middle class. See, we have also discussed that how Europe was divided into Western, Central as well as Eastern Europe. So carrying our discussion from there. Okay. See, now under the topic of aristocracy and the new middle class, socially as well as politically, the only section of the society that was dominant was aristocracy. Socially as well as politically. Socially as well as politically, the only section of the society that was powerful or dominant was the aristocracy. So socially, how it was powerful or dominating? Socially, they were highly prestigious, and politically they were influential. The landed aristocracy was socially prestigious, means highly respectful in the society, and politically they were influential. And these landed aristocracy were the dominant in those days in whole of the continent, that is Europe. Okay, so though they were numerically very small, means only we can say that 3 to 4% of the total population. 3 to 4% of the total population was what? Aristocracy. And these aristocratic societies were often united among themselves by a common ties or common standard of living. They had a common standard of living. Okay, like what were the standard way of living? Like they spoke French. In a high society as well as in their diplomacy. See, French was spoken by the aristocracy, or we can say that French, as it was spoken in Paris, was the standard language. That was basically spoken by the aristocratic society, and this was the language in the high society as well as the language of their diplomacy. Okay, again they were bounded by marriage ties. See, the two aristocratic family or the 2 or 3 neighboring aristocrats were bounded by marriage ties also. Means marriage ceremony could occur only between two aristocratic families. Okay, so through matrimonial ties also they were united. They possessed estates in the countryside and houses in the towns. See, all of the aristocratic families had a common way of living, that each of the aristocratic societies had large estates in the countryside, means in the villages, and they all possessed houses in the towns. Okay, so estates, what does estates mean? Estates means the large agricultural lands. They possessed large agricultural lands in the villages, and they had their royal life in the towns. Okay, and see, apart from this, we have already discussed that this was what? Western Europe, Central Europe, Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Western Europe constituted of England, France, etc. We have discussed England, France, etc. Here Germany. We have discussed these things. Okay. So let me now only explain. See, Western Europe was the territory that was often cultivated by the tenants and the small landowners, because in this part of the Europe land was very small and fragmented. So this part was not fit for agricultural point of view. This part was not fit from agricultural point of view. So agriculture here was always a discouraging factor, because for agriculture we all know that there should be a vast estate, means you should have a large agricultural field, then only agriculture could become profitable. So agriculture was not profitable in the western part of the Europe. We can say that England, France, etc. Okay, that is why here the agriculture was done by tenants and the small or marginal farmers, whereas in the Central Europe as well as in the Eastern Europe the society was mainly constituted of what? Landed aristocracy, as we have discussed. In the Central as well as in the Eastern Europe, landed aristocracy was prevalent in the 17th and 18th century. So see, we all know that in the mid of the 17th century, industrialization took place first of all in England. Industrialization took place first of all in the mid 17th century in England. See, this point should be noted, that England was quick in attaining industrialization, while the countries like France and Germany achieved industrialization in the mid 18th century, and here in the beginning of 19th century. So see, one remarkable point to be noted is that industrialization took place first of all in the mid 18th century in England. It was the England where the industrialization took place in the mid of the 18th century. But in France and Germany, these two countries are also what? European nations. But then also here industrialization took place much later, that is in the beginning of the 19th century. What was the reason that industrialization took place in France and Germany much later than the England? The reason is that England was the only country or only nation in the Europe that was politically more developed than any other countries in the Europe. Means see how it happens. We all know that the French Revolution took place in the year 1789. This was the year when French Revolution took place in France, and after that only there was changes in political conditions of France. Okay, but in England it was the year 1688 to 1689. You should note this point. In England, political rejuvenation, okay, political rejuvenation started in the year 1688 to 1689. What has happened in England? Glorious Revolution. See, the revolution that has occurred in the England in the year 1688 and ended in the year 1689 is called the Glorious Revolution. And why this revolution was called Glorious Revolution? Because the monarch had to give away his throne and he was to live in exile in France without any bloodshed. The Glorious Revolution is most popular in the history of European countries because it is this revolution only where no bloodshed or no violence occurred and the king left his throne without any violence activities. The reason behind no bloodshed was that the parliamentarians invited Prince William of Orange. This region is located in Dutch and Netherlands. Okay, so the Prince William was invited to sit on the throne jointly with the daughter of King James II. Prince William was invited to sit on the throne jointly with the help of daughter of James II. James II was the King of England. So Prince William was married with the Mary. Mary was the daughter of James II. And as Prince William approached the throne to sit on it, James II king was left with no choice other than to vacate the throne, and he fled in the France. See, Prince William was aware of the fact that if he will attack on the England, then certainly the armies of the France will also come in support of the England, because in these two countries the supporter of the Catholic Church was in majority, and the parliamentarians had a dominant ministers that were supporters of the Protestants. Okay, we all know that there are two kinds of churches: Catholic, the most oldest church, and those who were disappointed of the ideas and the beliefs of the Catholic churches formed their separate church by the name of Protestant church. Since they were protesters against the Catholics, that is why the new churches that came into existence came to be known as Protestant churches. Okay, so parliamentarians choose the path to invite Prince William of Orange, okay, to sit on the throne after marrying the Princess of England, that her name was Mary. Mary, the daughter of James II. Okay, so king was left with no option other than to flee from the England, and he took shelter in the England, and he took shelter in the France. Means king of England took shelter in the France. Okay, so as a result of this incident, what has happened that the absolute monarchy turned into constitutional monarch, and it was limited, means constitutional monarch was limited in power by the parliamentarians. Means from now or henceforth, now the ruler has to act upon the aid and advice of the parliamentarians. He lost all his discretionary powers. Okay, so constitutional monarch was established instead of absolute monarchy, and the same political situation as it was in England prevailed in France only after the French Revolution of 1789. So England was much ahead in political development than any other countries of the Europe. Okay, so now let me first rub this. So see, we are discussing that how aristocracy perished and a new middle class emerged. As we have discussed that Europe was divided into Western Europe, Central Europe, and Eastern Europe. As a result of industrialization, the middle classes emerged more quicker in western part of the Europe, and this could not be the case with the Central and Eastern Europe until the advent of the 19th century, or from the beginning of the 19th century. Beginning of 19th century. Okay, so see, with the rise of the industrial production or increase in the industrial production, a new middle class known by the name of commercial class or trading class emerged in the society, and along with this commercial class, another sections in the society that emerged were working class plus industrialists plus traders working class, industrialists, traders plus professionals. Professionals like lawyers, bankers, etc. Working class constituted of the people, mainly of laborers. Okay, laborers plus industrialists, traders. This kind of middle classes emerged. It means that the society which was basically dependent on primary sector now transformed into secondary sectors of the economy. Means the society witnessed a shift from primary sectors of economy towards the secondary sectors of economy and later service sector or tertiary sector. Okay, so it was the educated middle class that was not satisfied by the policies of aristocracy and revolted. So it was only the educated middle class which emerged as a result of industrialization that was not convinced by the way the society was being influenced by the aristocracy, and so they revolted or they created awareness among the general people to revolt against the aristocracy. So this was our topic, and we will be discussing about the next topic in our next video. So thank you till then.